I'm currently in northern Sweden, and for those that recognize the forest or already have an idea, yes, I will try to photograph squirrels. And I actually managed in the last days to already take a couple of shots with my 100 to 300 millimeter lens. But today I want to try something different. I want to go for wide angle images. The good thing here is that the squirrels are not too shy, but they're also not extremely tame. So getting wide angle shots like this will be hard. So what I want to do is basically set up a camera trap that I can go home and the squirrels are not disturbed and get hopefully in the place that I want them to be. So what I do first, or what I already did, is a bit of scouting. Where do I want to set up the camera trap? If I work with wide angle, it means that we see a lot of the habitat. That's also the goal, but it's quite challenging because if you have some distracting elements in the background, you will see them. So what I tried to find here was an area that is, as you can see, there are no forests or bushes a few meters behind me, only farther away in the distance. And then I'm trying to incorporate some elements or some like image composition techniques that we know more from landscape photography. And that's basically diagonal and leading lines. And you can see here some dead wood that fell, I think, during a storm last year or so. And I want to set up the camera here, have this dead wood go like diagonally through the image. I will probably start with something around 20-24 millimeters and then see how it goes. I have many more ideas what I could do also with different focal lengths, with different cameras, but I want to start with this one, so I will get going, set it up, and then see you in a minute. So the wide angle shots were okay, but I was not 100% happy because the one where the pose was the best, somehow the focus was not good. I tried both manual or autofocus, but I wanted to try something else. Maybe I will get back to the wide angle shots later. And Dani has already installed a while ago here kind of a setup for having pictures of squirrels in flight. So this food is basically here. I put some seeds on top, but the squirrels cannot go up here because there is this bucket that is mounted upside down, so they need to come here and jump to this side. So I will put now my camera here, and I want to have a bit more focal length because if I do this with 20 millimeters, you will see this pole, which is not very nice. And additionally, I also think for this kind of image, kind of smoother background could look nice. So I will use my 100 to 300 millimeter, and I think I will use the R1 just because it offers 40 frames per second and a bit better high ISO image quality. And then I will set up the camera trap. I put more food to be sure that there is enough, and then I will go back into the house and come back in a couple of hours and hope that first of all the equipment is still here, and obviously that I also have some cool images on my memory cards. So while my camera is hopefully taking pictures of jumping squirrels back in the forest, I came back here outside and decided to grab my other camera and take some pictures of the songbirds that are visiting the feeding station here. Of course, at the feeding station itself, it doesn't look so pleasing, so aesthetic, but there are several bushes and small trees around here. And what really caught my eye is this one rather small pine tree. And if I position myself like this here, I can have a background that is not just some, let's say, boring out of focus bushes or forest, but actually the kind of the meadow that has several wildflowers in it, which have different colors and therefore really add something to the image and give the image a bit more color. Even though the other thing that gives the image color are, of course, the birds. And what I saw a lot here was the bullfinch, which is a beautiful bird, and we also have it in Switzerland, but somehow it never really, or it didn't came very often to my feeding station in the garden. So I'm really excited, and I hope I can take some nice images of this species. I also saw some green finches, some great tits, and obviously I kind of spooked the birds when I arrived here, but my hope is that if I just sit here more or less quietly, I will also stop talking in a minute, that the birds will return soon. So the birds are more or less active during the whole day, but I feel like their activity kind of comes in waves. So there's moments where nothing is happening, and then suddenly you have several individuals of different species at the same time there. And it's also interesting to see the interaction between these. On one hand, you have the interactions between different species, and I observed before that the bullfinch is just dominant over the great tit. It's just more massively built and managed to push it away from the feeder. But also between the same species, you have some competition between the individuals. And I saw some green finches before that were fighting with each other in mid-air, and they do this quite often. And I tried to take some images. Unfortunately, they turned out blurry, but maybe over the next couple of hours or even days, I will still manage the bullfinch. It's such a beautiful bird. And I got some really nice images just before, not now, but before of the bullfinch. I managed one where he was really sitting, the male with this really beautiful red chest was sitting on this small branch of this pine and looking to the left with the wildflowers in the background. And I think it looked really cool, and I'm quite happy with the results so far. The cloudy weather that we have at the moment is actually perfect for this type of photography, because it means I can shoot all day. I don't need to think about the position of the sun and some shadows that might not look good. So I will definitely try to use now still a few hours of the afternoon. What's not ideal is the wind that is picking up a bit of speed now. And this just means that these rather small branches move a bit more, and I need to dial in a shorter shutter speed, which at the moment is not a problem. I have enough light, but it could be a bit limiting in the evening. And in the evening, I'm anyway trying to photograph something else, namely the moose. It's currently a bit after 2 a.m. in the morning, and we have been driving all night basically trying to search moose. So just driving along these small roads in the forest. And we just saw one that was rather cooperative. I would say it was even a bit curious.
Yeah, it seems like the two males we've seen have been the most relaxed.
Yeah.
And the females run off. So it was a really nice encounter.
Yeah, now we're basically just waiting for a few minutes at least to see if they appear. They disappeared somewhere in the forest, and we're here at a clear cut where we have a good view, and potentially it would give a nice image. So we're now just waiting for the moose to come back or another moose to appear. And because it was a clear night, it's very cold. It's like 5 degrees Celsius outside, and given that it's end of June, it's not really what you expect as summer temperatures. But there is some fog that started to build, and it would give a really cool image if we had a moose.
Yeah. We were flying the drone earlier, and it just looked insane. It was so nice.
So during the course of the day, it's got a bit warmer and also brighter, which is definitely good because I need a short shutter speed, and I still close the aperture down a tiny bit to f3.2. I just left the ISO on automatic, so depending on the light, the camera can adjust that automatically. And now I will switch off the sensor here and have a look at some images. Wow. Okay, there's tons of images here to go through. It seems like in some situations it has not triggered, even though I see the squirrel on the starting platform. So I might need to increase the time on the cam tractions where it sends, basically for how long it sends the signal to release. I will do that. And I also have the feeling that I need to, I underestimated how high the squirrels are jumping, so I need to adjust the position slightly, but I'm very confident that I will get some cool shots.